The banishment long ago, Earth was part of the Galactic Council. Humans had joined with hope, offering knowledge, trade, and peace. But Earth was different. Too strong. Too independent. And above all, too unpredictable. The Council saw this as dangerous. Meetings turned cold. Deals stopped. Accidents were blamed on humans. Then came the final vote. Earth was declared a rogue world. Every human colony was abandoned. Every ship marked for destruction. No voice from Earth was heard again, not because they were silenced, but because they were banished. On a quiet moon called Alara Prime, Captain Ray stood in the shadow of an old Terran outpost. Dust blew across the silver stones. The station had been shut down for nearly 50 years. But now, it blinked back to life. "Transmission clear," said Myra, a tech specialist beside him. Her fingers danced across the control board, reactivating a long silent beacon. "Signal locked. We're live." A single message went out into the dark. "Earth remembers. We are still here." In Council space, deep within the shining city of Veltron, ambassadors from 50 species sat in silence. The Terran signal had arrived at the core of their communication net. It wasn't supposed to be possible. Earth was exiled. All their tech was disabled, or so they believed, but now, the message played again, louder this time. The old hatred returned. Some feared Earth's comeback. Others laughed. "They can send all the words they want," said a council leader named Threx. "But the rules are clear. No Terran is welcome." Yet behind the scenes, something had shifted. Some species secretly missed Earth's strength in war. Others missed human trade, or the fire in their culture. Some had grown tired of the Council's slow politics and bloated rules. Earth had been a spark in the dark. A light that burned fast, but bright, back. On Alara Prime, Captain Ray smiled. "They got the message," he said. Myra nodded. "Think they'll respond?" Ray looked up at the stars. "They don't need to. We are not asking anymore." Over the next few days, dozens of hidden outposts like the one on Alara came online. Each one sending signals, maps, and orders. The Terran Shadow Network, once dismantled, now lived again. Old ships rose from the sands of forgotten worlds. Deep in asteroid fields, cloaked war cruisers activated ancient codes. Across the void, humans who had lived quietly for decades put on old uniforms again. Many had grown older. Some had families. But when the call came, they remembered, this was not a war, this was a return. But the Council didn't understand. They moved ships to block Earth's systems again. They sent warnings. They tried to stop trade, but Earth didn't respond. Instead, humans rewrote the rules. Where one Council station blocked them, they built 3 of their own. Where Council laws banned them, humans sent aid ships and offered protection to border colonies suffering pirate attacks. The people of the galaxy began to notice. "Is human," a merchant whispered in a crowded market, pointing to a tall man offering medicine to sick children. "So what?" the shopkeeper replied. "He brought help. Not words." The story spread. In a space station near the rim, a young alien girl asked her teacher, "Why were humans banished?" The teacher paused. "Because they didn't follow the rules." "But what if the rules were wrong?" Silence fell. Earth hadn't attacked. Not once. They built. They helped. They protected, and when they were told to stop, they ignored. The command point. One day, on a distant world, a Council warship arrived to shut down a new human-built shelter. But they found nothing threatening. Only food. Medicine. Warm beds. When the Council soldiers returned to their ship, a single word had been burned into the landing pad. "Watch." The humans were back, but this time, they were not waiting for permission. The challenge. Captain Ray stood in the command bay of the Resolute Dawn, an old Terran vessel once thought scrapped. Now, its steel hull hummed with new energy, and its weapon systems, once rusted, were sharp again. Across the galaxy, the Council met in emergency session. The humans weren't just showing signs of life. They were growing, spreading into dead zones, rebuilding, reconnecting lost colonies. And worst of all, they were doing it without asking. "This is illegal," shouted one of the Elder Council. Members, was it illegal? A calm voice replied, when Earth offered its soldiers to defend your colonies. When they gave food to famine worlds. The room fell quiet, but silence didn't stop fear. The Council issued a new order: arrest all Terran leaders. Disarm their ships. Detain anyone wearing the human crest. A fleet was dispatched to blockade Alara Prime. Captain Ray already knew they were coming. They'll want us to bow again, Myra said, watching the Council ships on the long-range scan. Ray didn't flinch. Then we'll stand taller. The Resolute Dawn didn't run. It didn't fire. It simply rose into orbit and activated a wide-burst signal. Across the galaxy, human outposts saw the signal and replied. Lights blinked on old stations. Civilian fleets changed course. A movement had begun, and in deep space, a second ship uncloaked.it was called the Iron Wake.it bore no flags, no signals, only a phrase painted along the hull: we do not kneel. The Council fleet surrounded Alara Prime. 50 ships. Missiles armed. Cannons locked. Captain Ray opened a channel to the Council. Admiral, this is Ray of Earth, he said. You're here to arrest us. But we are not criminals. You broke the law, the Admiral snapped. Ray smiled coldly. No. We broke your control. Behind the Resolute Dawn, more ships appeared, small, fast Terran fighters with red shields glowing. And then came the freighters, the medical ships, the science vessels. A civilian convoy, protected by warships that bore no Council marks. Stand down, or be fired upon, the Admiral shouted. Ray looked to Myra. Send it. Myra nodded and sent the full data package to every open channel: proof of Council corruption, intercepted messages showing how Earth was framed, star charts revealing abandoned colonies left to die under Council watch. The galaxy watched. The Council had expected war. What they got was truth. On distant planets, people began questioning the stories they'd been told. Farmers who remembered humans helping them. Miners who used Earth-built machines. Refugees saved by Terran ships during the old border wars, and now Earth wasn't asking to return. It was already here. On Veltrin, a young assistant in the Council tower opened her private screen. She watched the live feed of Alara Prime, where humans stood unarmed in front of a mighty Council fleet. She whispered, they are not afraid. The Council moved forward anyway. Their ships closed in on the Resolute Dawn. Ray stepped forward on the bridge. Don't fire unless fired upon. Council ships aimed their weapons, then something happened. One by one, several of the Council vessels powered down. Their captains refused the order. We won't shoot at those who once saved us, said a voice on the Council fleet's open comms. More ships followed. The fleet fractured. Then, from deep space, another ship arrived, larger than anything the Council had built. Black metal, curved like a blade, covered in ancient Terran symbols. It had no name in Council records. Ray smiled as he saw it. The Judgment Star, he whispered. It had been Earth's secret weapon, unseen since the banishment. Now it moved without a sound, casting a massive shadow across the Council fleet. From within the ship, a single message was sent to all channels: you called us exiles. But you forget who we are. We are human. And we don't ask to return. We decide. The turning point. The Judgment Star hovered in silence, its hull glowing dimly like a sleeping beast. No weapon ports were visible. No threats were made. And yet, every Council captain felt the pressure of its presence, like standing beneath a thunderstorm that hadn't struck yet. Inside the Resolute Dawn, Captain Ray stared at the incoming data stream. That ship was just a rumor, Myra said quietly, eyes wide. A myth from the old wars. It was real, Ray replied. Built after the banishment. Hidden until now. Earth was never silent. Just waiting. The Judgment Star didn't move. It didn't need to. Across the galaxy, that single image of the dark Terran ship standing alone before the largest Council fleet spread like wildfire. Civilian networks, black market traders, old colony leaders, even school children saw the moment when Earth reminded the stars it still lived. Then something changed. One of the Council ships, Varelian, turned and slowly moved away. Its commander, an old lizard-like alien named Doran, opened a transmission. This is Commander Doran of the Varelian, he said. I fought beside humans once. I remember their fire, their loyalty. I will not raise arms against them. Gasps echoed across council channels. Another ship followed, then a third. Ships peeled off from the blockade one by one. The council fleet splintered, not from war, but from memory. Back at the council chamber on Veltron, the leaders watched in disbelief. The screen flickered with ship logs, command denials, crew revolts. Control was crumbling. "We must declare full war," one shouted, but the room hesitated. War meant risk. War meant attention. And worst of all, it meant giving Earth what it wanted, a cause. Meanwhile, Earth didn't send an army, they sent builders. On nearby moons, humans began reconstructing abandoned stations. Engineers in simple suits laid down foundation beams. Drones planted food towers. Medical tents went up. Sick refugees, abandoned by the council, were treated by human medics without a word of complaint. They weren't conquering, they were leading, and people followed. In the quiet colony of Venice, a father held his injured son while a human doctor treated him. "Why do you help us?" the father asked. "The council threw you out." The human doctor smiled. "That's their rule. Not ours." In marketplaces, alien merchants whispered, "Humans trade fair. They protect. Council only. Taxes." On remote worlds, Terran technology was shared freely. Not sold. Not controlled. Earth was building an empire, not with fear, but with hope. The rules had been broken. By now, the Council realized something worse than war was unfolding. The galaxy was choosing. Choosing Earth. Choosing humanity's stubborn heart. And there was no law that could stop it. Inside the Judgment Star, a woman in plain black robes watched the spreading data. Her name was Lynn, the original designer of the vessel. She had lived in hiding for decades, waiting for this moment. She turned to her crew. "No need to fire. Truth is stronger than missiles." A young officer asked, "What if they still attack?" Lynn's eyes were calm. "Then we show them why they feared us in the first place." Back on Alara Prime, Captain Ray stood beneath the rising sun. The air smelled of metal and soil. Around him, people worked, laughed, repaired. Alien children played beside human kids. He looked up at the sky. "This is just the beginning," he whispered. The fracture within the council hall on Veltron, once a place of power and control, now echoed with angry voices and fear. "They are ignoring our commands. Whole colonies are siding with them. Trade routes are shifting toward the Terran network." The council leaders, once unified in their banishment of Earth, were now breaking into factions. Some still clung to old authority, demanding war and sanctions. Others spoke in whispers, questioning everything they once believed. High Leader Van, one of the oldest voices in the chamber, slammed his staff on the floor. "Order." He growled. "Earth must be stopped, by force if needed." But not all agreed. A younger leader named Kale stood. He was from the Threnari, a species once rescued by Terran forces during a solar flare disaster. "You banished them for being too strong, too different. And yet, they return not with war, but with food, healing, and light." Van narrowed his eyes. "They defy our rules." Kale replied, "Then maybe the rules are broken." The room went silent. Outside the council walls, protests had already begun. Peaceful at first, aliens holding signs, chanting for unity, waving Earth flags. But soon, chaos spread. Crowds clashed with guards. Fires broke out near the East Towers. The council tried to shut down the public network, but the humans had already connected the galaxy. The Terran communication array was stronger, faster, and open to all. Meanwhile, across space, the Judgment Star continued its silent journey. It entered orbit over Rivaros 2, a trade world that had suffered council neglect for years. Its people welcomed the humans with open arms. Terran engineers repaired broken cities, Terran teachers opened schools. For all species, Terran ships brought clean water and food. The people began calling the humans something new, the return. On Rivaros 2, young and old, rich and poor, alien and human, they stood side by side under a shared flag, a black star surrounded by silver light. Not the old Terran banner, but something new. A symbol of unity, but not everyone was pleased. In the deep core of council space, a secret project was activated. Project Stone Veil. It was an old protocol, an AI-driven fleet built long ago. In case of Terran rebellion. Ships with no names. No mercy. Designed to crush Earth if it ever tried to rise again, High Leader Van gave the order, launch the Stone Veil. End this uprising. At a hidden base, ancient ships rumbled to life. Cold metal unfolded into sleek blades of destruction. Thousands of drones armed with dark energy weapons left their stations, headed straight for Earth-controlled zones, but Earth had always planned for this. On Alara Prime, Captain Ray stood before a map of incoming threats. Red lights blinked in. Clusters, Myra gasped. That's not a normal fleet. These are automated, old war machines. Ray nodded. Project Stone Veil. We thought they'd try this. Myra looked up. Can we stop them? Ray smiled. We are not alone anymore. He pressed a key. From deep space, Allied fleets began to emerge, small ships, resistance cruisers, even old pirate vessels flying Terran banners. They weren't all human, but they believed in the same dream. The signal had spread beyond Earth. A galaxy, once ruled by fear and control, had tasted something new, freedom. As the Stone Veil fleet approached, human ships stood side by side with alien vessels. Not for conquest, but for defiance. Ray looked out the window of the Resolute Dawn and said softly, let's show them what shattered rules really look like. The day the sky burned, the Stone Veil fleet arrived without a warning cry, just a storm of metal and fire slicing through the void. Thousands of black ships surged forward, cold and quiet, with one mission, erase Earth's influence, but Earth was ready. Above Rivaros 2, the sky shimmered as human warships broke formation and spread out into defense lines. Alongside them flew vessels from 10 different species, united not by treaty, but by loyalty earned. This is not just Earth's fight anymore, Ray said on the bridge of the Resolute Dawn. This is the galaxy's stand. The enemy fleet moved like a swarm. Their AI minds were fast, precise, and emotionless. They targeted power cores, shield nodes, and engines. No negotiation. No surrender. The first impact hit hard. A Terran escort cruiser exploded into flames, then another, but the defense line held. Myra shouted, they are faster than expected. Coming in from 5 angles. Ray gave the order. Open the flank. Draw them into the trap. Hidden behind an asteroid field, dozens of old Terran mines, rebuilt with alien tech, activated. As the Stone Veil drones passed through, the mines detonated with surgical precision, frying the AI cores of entire squadrons. 10 enemy ships blinked out, then 50. But it wasn't enough. The AI fleet adapted, changing patterns, targeting weak points in the unified forces. On the ground, Rivaros 2's people watched the sky turn red and gold. Children clung to their parents. Traders stood with weapons in hand. And on rooftops, banners flew, black stars on silver. A symbol of resistance. Back in orbit, the fight reached its peak. Alien allies coordinated in perfect sync with Terran captains. Species who once distrusted each other now covered each other's backs. Old pirate captains gave their lives to protect refugee ships. And above them all, the Judgment Star moved silently into position. Inside the massive vessel, Lynn stood before a console glowing with strange code. The core is ready. An officer said. Lynn nodded. It's time. The Judgment Star unleashed its secret, not a weapon, a pulse. The galaxy rewritten. Years had passed since the day the sky burned. The Council, once the galaxy's law and voice, had become a shadow of itself. Many of its member worlds had broken away, no longer fearing the old rules that once controlled them. Not because of war. Not because of conquest, but because of choice. And at the heart of this new era stood the ones they had once cast out, Earth. But Earth was no longer just a planet. It had become something more. A symbol. A foundation. A leader without chains. The human spirit, once feared, was now the spine of something greater, the Accord of Free Worlds. The Accord was not a government. Not a council. It was a pact, an agreement shared by hundreds of species. To defend each other. To trade openly. To protect freedom, creativity, and life. There was no throne, only a round table, and around it sat humans, aliens, warriors, scientists, and even former enemies. Now allies. Captain Ray, older now, sat at that table. His hair had silvered, and lines marked his face, but his eyes still carried the same fire. Beside him sat Myra, now a lead diplomat of the Accord. And Lynn, once the hidden mind behind Earth's secret ship, now ran the galaxy's largest piece. Research station, they had all come from silence. Now, their voices shaped the stars. On Earth, the cities were brighter. The skies clearer. Humans no longer looked outward with anger, but with purpose. Children were taught not just Terran history, but the stories of 1,000 worlds. Artists painted with alien colors. Engineers fused ideas once thought impossible, and above Earth, in the deep black of space, a monument floated, the Judgment Star. No longer a weapon, it had been turned into a museum, a living memory of what once was and what must never be again. Visitors from across the galaxy walked its halls, learning about the banishment, the resistance, and the return. A phrase was etched into the ship's entrance in every major language: they banished us. But we never left. We remembered. Some of the old council still lingered. Still bitter. Still grasping at power, but no one listened to them anymore, because now, the rules were not written by the few, they were built by the many. On the far edge of the galaxy, a young child, half human, half alien, looked up at the stars and asked, what was Earth like before? Her mother smiled. It was like a flame in a storm. Alone. Misunderstood. But what happened? Her father answered, the flame became a torch and lit the path for all of us. And far above, in the dark sea of stars, ships moved peacefully between systems, carrying food, stories, music, laughter, and the fire of a species once banished, now beloved. Humanity had shattered the rules, and in doing so, they had rewritten the galaxy.